Yo, yo, yo. You want to know the absolute most dangerous part about having completely unhinged friends? It's not even that they do crazy stuff. It's the fact that they can genuinely do anything that pops into their heads immediately without a single thought about the consequences. Zero fear of repercussions. Zero survival instinct. Most normal people have an internal filter, right? Your brain says, hey, maybe we shouldn't do that. And you stop. Not these guys. With them, someone just has to say, yo, let's do this. And without asking a single question, the whole squad is just down then and there. Now look, those are the types of friends you need in life for the stories. But at the same time, you desperately need someone in the group who can pull those guys back. Because if nobody is holding the leash, those exact situations will get you straight up expelled. Which brings me to case in point, boarding school and the legendary saga of the bootleg alcohol. So back in the day, there was this massive craze about trying to make alcohol out of this traditional drink called Mahewu. Now, if you don't know what Mahewu is, let me break it down for you. You buy this powder called overnight. It's super simple. You take the overnight powder, dump it in some water, mix it up, leave it overnight, and boom. By the next morning, you've got this really nice, sweet, traditional drink. People would drink that whenever they were running low on juice in the dorms. You just make your own overnight. And look, if you were feeling rich after your Mahewu was done, you'd add a little bit of milk to it. Man, it tasted so good. It created this elite budget buttermilk. Speaking of buttermilk, shout out to whoever invented that. May the person who made that drink be blessed forever. As a whole country, we are begging. Please give us 5-liter tubs of that stuff. I will gladly buy it. But okay, that's beside the point. Now, what the gents in my room realized was the basic chemistry behind the whole thing. What turns overnight powder into Mahewu is fermentation. And if you let that fermentation process go on long enough, it stops being just juice and it starts turning into this weakish bootleg alcohol. But normally it takes a long time to get to that point, unless you cheat the system. The guys figured out that if you throw a bunch of active baking yeast into the mix, that stuff ferments at light speed. So one day I walk into my room and the boys are sitting in a circle looking like mad scientists. They're like, let's make our own alcohol. I looked at them and I instantly knew this was bad news. I was like, guys, you know what? For once in your lives, count me out. I am not gonna be involved in this. They immediately started clowning me. Look at you, you coward. Let's make the alcohol. I'm like, nah guys, I'm serious. I ain't doing this. We are literally going to get expelled. Yeah, during that time, I was still a little bitch. I won't even lie. One of my niggas looked me dead in the eyes, no smile, total deadpan, and said,
"Oh, brother, this guy stinks!"
I said, I don't care, I'm still not doing it. So, this is what they did without me. Mind you, note the emphasis here, without me. They took the overnight powder, mixed it up, dumped in the yeast, poured it into this large plastic bottle, capped it tight, and hid it in the warmest corner of the room so it would ferment fast. Now, the instructions for fermenting in a sealed bottle are simple. Every 2 to 3 days, you're supposed to slightly unscrew the cap to burp the bottle, release the gas pressure, and seal it back up. Did they do that? Of course not. The boys made the bottle and then entirely forgot it existed. They forgot. That bottle was sitting in that warm, dark corner for weeks. 1 week, 2 weeks, completely wiped from their memory. Then one day, during break time, someone's brain randomly rebooted. He stops and goes, wait, guys, weren't we making alcohol? Everyone froze. Oh yeah, we were supposed to be making alcohol. What happened to it? It's still in the corner. They ran over and pulled the bottle out. Bro, when I tell you that thing was hard, the sheer pressure building inside that plastic bottle for weeks was insane. You could genuinely have used that thing as a lethal weapon. If you dropped that bottle on the floor, it would have blasted off into the sky like a NASA rocket. That bottle was more pressurized than a professional soccer ball. I looked at that ticking time bomb and said, yeah, this thing is not supposed to be opened inside the room. Guys, take it outside. They laughed at me again. Look at this coward. I shook my head. You know what? Break time is almost over. I am headed to class. You guys figure this out on your own. I'm out. I turn around. I take 3 steps. The exact microsecond my back is turned. The loudest bang I have ever heard in my life echoed through the dorm. Before I could even register what happened, a massive wave of warm, sticky, fermented liquid slammed into my entire back. I just stood there at the door. I didn't even turn around at first. I just closed my eyes and whispered, "No." One of the boys had tried to open the cap just a little bit to release the pressure, causing the entire bottle to literally rupture and explode. And let me tell you, this was no longer just Mahewu. This stuff had been fermenting for almost a month. It smelled like pure, concentrated, foul alcohol. It covered everything. It blasted onto all 4 walls. It covered the ceiling. Every single person's bedsheets in the room were dripping in bootleg booze, and my entire uniform shirt was soaked. And remember, this is break time. We have class in 5 minutes. If a teacher walked into that corridor, our room smelled like an underground brewery. We went into full panic mode. I had to strip off my uniform, grab everyone's alcohol-soaked sheets, sprint down the hall to the communal sinks, wash them out, change my clothes, and try to douse the entire room in cheap cologne to mask the smell. Because in boarding school, you get caught with booze, you are done. So we somehow managed to clean up enough to avoid instant expulsion, and we sprint down to class just as the bell rings. The boys who actually drank whatever was left in the bottom of that bottle walked into class very happy. They were overjoyed, low-key buzzing, sitting at their desk grinning for no reason. Now, get the seating arrangement. My desk was in the back. In front of me sat my 2 boys, Jax and Moss, who's sitting right next to the open window. Lessons are about to end, right? Suddenly, out of nowhere, this atrocious, biohazardous, disgusting smell starts floating through the classroom. I immediately knew. I looked at the back of Moas's head like, I know who did this. Moas had let out a silent but deadly fart. And because he was sitting right by the window, the draft from outside picked up his chemical weapon and blew it straight across the room, right into the middle row. And who sits in the middle row? The girls. All of a sudden, the girls start gagging and screaming. "Oh Lord, it smells terrible. Oh goodness." It was so incredibly funny. But Moaz didn't stop there. Class was finally calming down, the commotion was dying off, and Moaz decided to let out round 2. This second one was so bad the teacher caught a whiff of it from the front of the class. The teacher stopped teaching, slammed his book down and yelled, "No! This is disgusting! Who let this out?" Because the wind kept carrying the smell straight to the middle row, the teacher assumed it was the girls. Those poor girls got yelled at and chased completely out of class for a crime they didn't commit. To this day, it was Moas. Moas was the one who practically bioweaponized the classroom. Now, you'd think after exploding bottles and chemical warfare in class, we would have learned our lesson. Nope. Fast forward to October of that same year. See, the seniors in the stream ahead of us were also making bootleg Mahewu, but they were smarter about it. They would mix their stuff, put it in giant tubs, and leave it out in the sun during the day to ferment. Nobody touched their stuff because they were the older guys, so Jax came up with a brilliant evil plan. He goes, "Why make our own when we can just steal theirs?" Thursday evening comes around. Jack sneaks out into the courtyard under the cover of darkness, finds the senior's stash, and steals 4 entire liters of fermented Mahewu. He brings it back to the dorm. Man, we partied. We partied like no man's business. That stuff was so fully fermented, we weren't even sober anymore. We drank all 4 liters. We're sitting there like, "Bro, where did you even get this?" Jax lies through his teeth. No, I made my own overnights again, you know." We're like, "Bro, we're out. Go get more." Jax literally goes back out into the night, steals another batch, and comes back. We drank the entire room dry. The next morning, we wake up and walk out into the courtyard. The seniors are standing there, absolutely livid, screaming at everyone. "Who stole our Mahewu? Let me tell whoever stole it. We pissed in that batch. You basically drank our piss." Bro, when I heard that, my heart sank into my stomach. I looked at Jax. Jax looked at me. We had to stand there with absolute poker faces, completely silent, pretending like we had no idea what they were talking about. Because if we reacted, 2 things would happen. 1, everyone would know we allegedly drank piss juice, and 2, the seniors would beat the living daylights out of us. So we just kept our mouths shut and walked. Now, years later, thinking about it with an adult mind, those seniors were lying. Think about it. Why on earth would you piss in a drink that you were planning on fermenting and drinking yourself later? They were just trying to bluff to catch whoever stole it. They tried to be slick, but we held the line.
Excalibur, let me in right now. Let's go! We are going to be late.
Chloe, my mix, I am not yet ready. Anyways, I'll catch you in the next one. Make sure to like and subscribe.